Hello everyone, welcome to the Serbian Heritage Museum of Windsor. We're located at 6770 Tecumseh Road East in Windsor on the premises of the Serbian Cultural Center. And at the moment, on the exhibition, on display, we have a very interesting exhibit called Serbian Journalism and Literature in Windsor. And that exhibit is a result of a digitization project that the museum is undergoing at the moment. And this project is very important for the museum collection and for the museum and for the Serbian community because it is dealing with the preservation of the written word. And as a part of this project, we have invited several of our writers, Serbs who lived in Windsor for a very long time and have contributed with their writing, journalistic skills and activities to not only the preservation of the Serbian community's history, but have also participated in the multicultural narrative of the Southwestern Ontario and Canada. So we're very pleased to be able to invite Mr. Djordje Veličković. He has lived here in Windsor for a really long time, and who will be able to, as one of the authors, tell us about his accomplishments in written word. So Mr. Veličković, would you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, first let me extend my thank you to you for inviting me and for this particular project, which I was always a fan of, documenting everything here in our new homeland. It's different in our fatherland because everybody writes there. There's all kind of different, data and everything available. Here it's not, and with generations, sometimes it's lost. And this project for me has very importance. This is one of the projects, but if you continue this is something that really makes me happy, and I'm sure next generations will appreciate that.
Thank you. Hopefully, yes.
Anyway, I don't know where to start. Like I was born and raised in Belgrade, and after finishing University of Belgrade mechanical engineering, I kind of escaped to Germany and got a passport because I was invited to play for national team in rugby, and I didn't want to stay there and serve the army because everybody sees what happens. So I was foreseeing those things. Anyway, so I stayed in Germany for a year. I applied for immigration to Canada, and I came to Canada in 1970, beginning of 1970. Worked for Chrysler Canada, first job. I didn't speak the language, but I knew German, and just happened to be a special product division, and the guy who was manager was Austrian. So all my reports, he liked my actually degree and my work with some of those companies outside Belgrade, two professors. So he picked up on that and hired me, and I worked there for a year. And after that, it was a contract job, so I lost that contract job, and I moved back to Toronto, and I was here in Windsor, Chrysler Canada. And I moved there, and looking for a job. Meanwhile, I was still playing rugby here, came here, and I was unfortunate accident. I broke my leg, very compound fracture. It was a big deal. So I was, kind of with the crutches and kind of couldn't look for a job or anything else. So I decided to go back to university to do my graduate studies. So I studied to learn a little bit on the language, enrolled at the University of Windsor because I have a lot of friends here. It was cheaper to be here than in Toronto. And, became teaching assistant at the University of Windsor, got married, got two kids, and started looking for a job, and just the door opened in Chrysler in Detroit, and I started there in 1973, and I worked for 35 years there.
Wow, so
I'm retired, so I'm now retired for about 4 years. And
you're enjoying your retirement?
Oh, very much, very much. It's highly recommended. As a matter of fact, if I knew that, how it was, I would never even start working. I would go retirement right away. It's a joke.
Well, anyway, your story sounds very successful, and we congratulate you on so much hard work and accomplishments. but if you don't mind, would you be able to tell us, you became a part of the Serbian community here when you moved. You started in communicating with very many individuals, and you realized that there's a lot of cultural organizations here. And which ones attracted your attention first?
Well, first of all, you know, when I came here, you know, Serbian community is not that visible to people that come outside.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw the church, which is definitely a Serbian Byzantine style, and then I got also a job at Old Kosovo Hall for some friend from Rugby who was getting married, because I was looking for a lot of jobs to support myself through university, and you know, then I met a few people, and then I went to church, and in the church it was kind of different. Like church was a big deal, a big part of me. Like even in Belgrade, I was like a 12, 13-year-old, you know, I was still going to a Sunday school, mm-hmm. which they call religious study, Veronauka there, and read Apostol, which was really no-no. But my father was very old-fashioned, and he was older, you know, quite a bit older than me. He was born in 1886. Mm-hmm. Very successful person that loved history, tradition, and his faith was very important, and he just passed that on me. Mm-hmm. By kind of more forceful thing until 14, 15-year-old, and after that was just a, you know, love of my life. I in every place where I put the ad or something like that, I always cite either the Bishop Nikolai's words, you know, Bogu služiti, precima se odužiti, pokolenje zadužiti. Means serve the God, pay respect to your ancestry, and look, you know, you invest in a future generation, which is very important. And that was my guideline, and you know, sometimes it was very hard. But so the church was the first part, and then you start meeting people, and it was kind of fun because you're meeting some people that just came here without school because during the war they were there and they escaped and they came here and they worked hard. They were very sharp people without education, so they couldn't write or anything. There was also kind of, I would call elite, some of the officers and some people, they're academics. Mm-hmm. They came to Windsor too, and they wrote, but you know, reading of that was not people, there was no audience for that. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate the things, you know, I'm sure you're going to be, you know, talking about that later on. So there's people polarized between, mm-hmm. so there was no really audience for all this writing and things like that. But I was attracted because of religion, and I just jumped into it right away, auditing board in 1973 in a church, and since then I'm still involved. You know, it was
Has there been any other organizations that you've joined?
Yeah, because seeing how the Chetniks organization works, and these old people, like, you know, they are all together, but I do have some organizational skills and things, mm-hmm. like that, so I was trying to help that. So I joined the Chetniks for all Chetniks, and I was there, yeah, the board, mm-hmm. and I was a member and went to a few general assemblies, and I wrote for their, you know, papers, and I was a secretary for a long time, and after the war broke out, things like that, and Serbia became kind of more independent, it was, for me, it was not necessary. Plus, I was involved still in a lot of different things, raising 3 children, you mm-hmm. know, supporting all the projects, other organization here, and so I was not as involved in a church organization
any longer, right?
Any longer. Mm-hmm. But I was also involved, you know, in a church board. I've been all the time. They always thought that I should be a president, but I never wanted to be there because usually president should be somebody who has a large family, so if push comes to shove, you should have, you know, people that support you, help you. So mm-hmm. I was always there as a support, VP, you know, this and that, but I still am, you know, so mm-hmm. I'm very involved, whatever I can contribute, because I believe in that, in this community. Another thing was that we arrived when we were building a Serbian center. There was a small hall before that, and we kind of had the opportunity to get the grant and build and motivate people. So when we built that, we reenacted the Business Professional Association. Mm-hmm. Dark Dobic, myself, John Bilevich, Stipich and a few other people, we just got together and we started reenacted that. So I'm still VP, Vice President of, because Djordje is President, and unfortunately he passed away, so I'm still VP of that. What else?
Since it seems that from what you've told me, you're very active, and that you were also a very active participant in expanding this center as well as accommodating the collection of the museum. So you are really an active participant of creating history of Serbian community in Windsor. But could you tell us, you mentioned that when you were a part of the organization, technical organization, that you were writing several articles, perhaps more. So would you say that these were your first writing opportunities?
Well, in this continent, yes.
Okay.
I never had affinity for writing or anything else, but you know, when I was growing up in the public school, there was a contest, and I was fairly competitive because, you know, we were always, you know, my father was in the Communist Party, so you always like in the background. So my father always told me, he said, you know what, he said, look at what happened to me. I was very successful, things that turn around and you lose everything. So what your values and what you learn in school and education, that's the only thing you have. He says you can't lose it, nobody can steal it, nobody take it away, but it's always something that you have. So I was trying, with it, and it's very easy to carry, you know, so with you. So I took that, and I was always trying to be good in school. So me and my sister actually almost accomplished a big library of books, because reward was always a book. And there was a competition of writing about something about freedom of Belgrade. It was a communist thing, really. And I wrote some article and I did some research at that age, and apparently, I can't remember, I know I won for the school, but in a city, let's say, at least I was a third. And it was a big deal. Now, my father never could find out anything about it, my mother, because it was all about communists. You know, you can write anything, paper, you can put anything to compete. Did I think like that? No. But I said, gosh, I'm good. You know? So anyway, and I never did anything after that. Like, you know, I got into sports and rugby, things that, you know, for writing, you need time, you need research, and you have to be focused on that, on why you're patient and patient. So I didn't have that anymore, you know, and I was focusing on what to make out of my life. Anyway, when I was here, and the main reason when I started writing, you know, for different articles for Srbobran, for you know, American Serbian for Serbia, for Voice Canadian Serbs, it was same as what you're doing right now, documenting events that are here, because who else, you know, you won't have a Windsor Star reporter if it's not something really huge and important for community, but like in Windsor as all. But for our community and for our growth and our lives here in Windsor, it's important for some of those details. So what I did, I started writing, taking picture and writing, contributing to all those newspapers, just to have, you know, Chetnik's organization here, you know, soccer with Voice Clear Serves, scholarships and things like that we did to American Srbobran, Shadland Camp, you know, involving in a Sunday school actually, moving kids, basketball, any events like that I did just as a document of what happened.
So you were a reporter of your life and life around you and your
life
present.
around you and whoever was contributing or whose life was touched. So it would be for the record, you know, and was my main goal. And people, you know, I think I had some level of humor here and there, and people like to read that, you know.
But it's very important to include a little bit of humor and keep the stories alive rather than just a dry letter on the paper.
That's right.
And we're very happy that you had that compelling need and motivation to start recording. Because now we can reflect and learn from you, because the second generation that is coming after you will probably not be able to remember if it wasn't documented.
That's right. Well, another thing I just wanted, because it was very, very big involvement by myself, is just Windsor Serb soccer. I was still playing rugby and with the church school, and then when we were trying to build a center, we were trying to get everybody involved. and a lot of people there involved in sport and soccer, they are athletic and they're physically strong, but they don't like to spend time in meetings and doing this. Well, I had a patient for this and for that. Anyway, I organized Windsor Serbs basically to be as a group. Like, you have to do the drinking and eating and soccer and everything else, but then you can motivate them to do something else. So we built actually that patio in Kosovo Hall. We built, then I motivated them with their, because they all have young families. So we had like a, park. We built that big soccer field.
Which, by the way, for the viewers, this is the space at the back of the Serbian Cultural Center, or Serbian Community Center. At the very back, you have a very wide space, soccer terrain.
Yes, soccer field, yeah.
A plateau, yes.
Yeah, which we built, it was 82. Actually, they were building this area was just developing, and they were building the huge apartment building. So we got, it says, give us this dirt so we can raise that up. So we raised it almost like a yard in the middle. But anyway, and then as being successful and meeting all the different colonies, Serbian colonies in North America, basically.
To the sports.
To the soccer, we were given to organize the first Serbian North American soccer tournament, which is still running. It was the 21st year now. 1992 was the first one. Wow. And we organized it here, and it's still running. And I was coordinator for everything for the first 5 years, 6 years, until it was established. I wrote rules and principles, how to move from one city to the other, so it won't be politically, just one-sided. And so people will meet everybody else. And, there's like a regular division, over 30, over 40, over 50 divisions. And like over 40 some teams usually.
So would you say that, for example, the first book that we have here that we would like to present it to the viewers is the SNF 48 Annual Golf Tournament. You have been speaking about the soccer tournaments and Windsor Serbs Soccer Club, but out of your athletic activities and sports organizing activities, perhaps would you say that this was one of the results of your writing as well?
Yes, this is one of many books, really. Whenever there's an event, we find the opportunity of making, financial support for the event and for our community. So books like this, when you put few important things to record the event and who was involved and who was running it, you also collect like a majority of, like a 90% is really contribution. And like, book like that can make like a 12,000 profit,
as
clear
a sponsorship
profit, for the event. And this is one of the, I actually do all the artwork usually, but this is one of the maybe 10, 12 of these books. Like there's one even larger for a soccer tournament, and this is the one that's in, but there's quite a few of those books. This is just an example, maybe.
Yes.
But there's about 12 to 14 of books like that put together, because knowing people and knowing how to solicit, that's what me and Doug was big soliciting for a Serbian center here, building it, and for everything else. Like, you have to show example. People have to trust you, have to believe it, and then you have to contribute to work and time and money, so.
Yes.
It's not easy, trust me.
It isn't easy, and
but you have great satisfaction, really.
I imagine so. And out of those quite a good number of books that you contributed about the sports events, this is one of them that the Serbian Heritage Museum has its in collection.
And that's a golf tournament, right?
That is a golf tournament. And SNF, can you tell us a little bit more about the SNF, Serbian National Federation organization?
Well, I don't want to go into details because that's available, but anyway, we had two different lodges. They're actually insurance company, really, for focused on Serbian people, and we had two different chapters here. One is Serbian Crown, and the other one is Yugoslav Crown, whatever it is. But Serbian Crown is the one, and we buy insurance usually for our children, and then and they sponsor a lot of events, basketball tournament. They don't sponsor any soccer tournament. That's the reason I did a soccer tournament. So there will be another involvement. They do the golf tournament. a bowling tournament and a basketball tournament. That's what they do.
Annually?
Annually, yeah.
Okay.
And they give again to different, you know, you can be
Out
candidates,
of
yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
Then it goes to them and then to local organizations. So you are trying to get events like that to your community, because then you can, you know, make some money for all the different projects that you're working on.
Okay. And
So,
this organization sponsors or organizes these events everywhere throughout the North America and this part of Canada?
well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
Mostly.
Canada, yeah.
Mostly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how long does it normally take to create a booklet like that?
Ooh, now you're getting into people. You know, some people, you send them, I mean, everybody experienced that forum, and he right away knows that he wants to support, send it back, and they said that some places you have to twist their arm, you know, and that's where your physique comes into it too, you know.
It helps.
And they say, well, I give to once you give, you have to motivate people, so it's very difficult, you know. And then, you know, when everybody sees that his name is there and he contributes, he wants to be a part of it. See, nobody wants to jump in, and that's like, you have to know you're dealing with it. So you're trying to get a lot of people to say, hey, do you want to be part of it or not? And then they'll make them. So it takes almost to the end, you know, so you start maybe a few months earlier, because you try to hit all the churches, all organizations, everything else. And then, you know, by the time they respond, so it takes about 2-3 months at least. And then you get everything last minute, and then you sit and start making all those ads and put together. And you know, really, the guy that was, you probably mentioned before, Message Printing, that guy was, he had this trade from over there, from our fatherland. Excellent guy. You could do, you know, on a weekend you can do certain things. Published so many books. He was, if it wasn't for him, a lot of these things would not be here. He was an expert, and as long as you're willing to, you know, help him and things like that, 24 hours sometimes, you know, to make the deadlines.
So he was a big supporter of the publishing activities.
Yeah. So when you say about, you know, how long it takes, you know, starts with 0, and then like maybe 80% is done in the last week or so.
But it takes a lot of perseverance and persistence, and it does involve the entire community almost, and motivates a lot of people to either join the effort or contribute monetarily. And just to tell the viewers about the Message Printing, Message Printing has been one of the printing houses here in Windsor, Serbian-owned printing house that existed from 1979 around that until 1994, and it was located at 640 Chilver Road in Old Walkerville. And this man has gained his experiences, Mr. Veličković said, in Belgrade, became a graphic artist or print master, and was able to open up a print shop here, and was so popular and his work was of such quality that he didn't really need to advertise anywhere. Serbian community knew his work, and they were so pleased with it that basically the word of the mouth was the only advertising that he needed to keep him very busy. So thank you, Mr. Mišić and his family for contributing on their part to the preservation of the written word. So you say that, yes, it is a painful process of collecting the information, gathering, motivating people to join in and give more information, but would you say that the writing is a satisfying process for you?
Yes, it is, because look at so many years later, we're still talking about it.
So you're
Plus, if somebody's interested in doing research or something like that, you can go in and find the facts, and like, you know, new generation, new things, new interest. Like, you know, at that time was quite a bit difficult, because you didn't have computers, emails, things like that. And I can publish now something from my own place if I want to, but at that time it was very difficult.
In 1986, how did it look
you
like?
Have to, well, you know, what was it? I think I bought first Macintosh computer just because of that. So, and I got from Metropolitan Christopher, who passed away, Cyrillic. He was big into new technology, things like that. And I got Cyrillic, and I could write in Cyrillic on computer. That was, for me, it was like a wow. So but it was very difficult. Not like this today. Like, you can sit down and do it. At that time, it was very difficult.
More
People that
time-consuming.
wrote, you know, something, and they were typed. And, you know how long it takes, and it was more cumbersome.
How about when you have all your material completed and your photographs collected, what would you do then? How would you take care of the layout?
Well, again, let's say for this book here, it was mainly cut and paste.
This one?
Yeah, it was cut and paste, like, you know, let's say, for example, like this thing here, okay? You put this thing here, title, and then you find somewhere, you know, golf bag, and you know there's 3 different things, so you put 3 of them here, you put golf bags in, so it looks like a golf thing associated with, the team is there, and then you put, you know, kind of square there, and it says, okay, this is from blah blah blah, and
page
and
such
then,
and such.
page. And then you make a different. If you want a half a page, you make something like this. You cut sometimes from advertisement, and you cut and paste. It's a very cumbersome
And
process.
these days you can just download it from the internet.
Right, and I can just scan this and do it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, moving on from 1986, when that bulletin or booklet was created, we're moving on to 1990, 1991, when you created a Serbian Youth Gračanica book that is a yearbook, actually, and you're the sole author of this book, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were able to collect enough information about this particular organization. So could you tell us, how did it start and why did you decide to do it?
Well, actually, priest who was here, Father Djordje Veličković, was my good friend, and he moved back to Zemun. He was a very ambitious guy, and he just told me, he says, you know, you have contact with all these people, with their kids, and you joke and you can organize, you have the skills and this and that. I want you to start seeing what you can do with the youth. I said, well, I don't want to, you know, because I know as soon as I get involved, like I can't do it just 50% or 85%, has to be done. And I have 3 children of my own. I said, well, you know what, I always liked, I call them young adults. I always addressed them as young adults because I wanted to, you're not kids, we're organizing this for kids. You start thinking, you're young adults. And all my friends have kids, you know, and I have, and things like that, and I figured out this is keeping an eye on their kids and my kids. And also I looked for him, I said, if I start telling him, I'm not brainwashing him, but it's not brainwashing, you teach him, you know, through your mannerism, through your activities and things like that, how to deal, how to get organized, and how nice it is to be a part of an organization. So I start gathering names of all the, you know, kids and things like that. And I already had, like, because we built a soccer field, and I had all these young boys, like about 20 of them, that was playing soccer, but they don't want to play, they don't want to do dancing or things like that. They want just this. And then I made a little Serbian Olympics in 1984, giving everybody a ribbon and things like competition, just to get them together, keep them together, you know. And now this thing here, now they're already kind of a little bit more grown up, and they're like this. I said, well, you know, you have to dance, you have to help out with this, with the community things, and we're also going to go basketball, we're going to have a soccer, we're going to basketball tournament, we're going to have a soccer tournament, we're going to go out to Raleigh, we're going to have a fashion show as a fundraising stuff. So I got motivated, and I got him involved, a few kids running and things like that. I got involved some parents too. They got more involved to be there, but you know, it was hard work. I did a lot of basic myself. You know how it is, you know. And I'm not trying to brag, but as I said, like pull them together. So we collected money. We gave $5,000 for a Serbian center. We went to all the different places. We went Darcy Day. Well, you know, we bought all these. I just want to show you. We bought all these costumes from over there, like over 50.
For the folklore ensemble?
Over 50 or some. And when you look at this was in Milton for Darcy Day for Bishop. You can see how many kids. Yeah. Then you
How
know,
many kids were they that you were
there was
able to pull together?
well, about over 55, 60 or something like that.
So this is a really nice group with a
Yeah.
variety of interests.
That's right.
Okay.
Then, you know, this is something to do with the museum actually here.
Mm-hmm.
We reenacted the 300 years, you know, Serba from
Oh,
Australia.
the migration of
The
Serbian
immigration.
people.
So we got at the start at Tecumseh, and we walked with the flags and
In
the
costumes.
priests in costumes all the way here to the museum.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Then we also did opening the Djordje Veličković Center. When it was opening
The housing,
ceremony,
the housing
housing,
project?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it's right here. This is the blessing of the housing project. Father Djordje Veličković.
What
And
year
all
was
the kids.
this?
91, something, thereabout. It was cold, and the kids still wear their
Costumes?
shirts and
Oh,
costume. I don't know how they, because you can see some other people are in the
Coats.
coats and everything else, and shubaras and things like that. But it was great. And then we also tried to get the Heritage Week like to the what is it, Kaboto Club as a part of all the other communities. We present our heritage.
Oh, you mean carousel?
Yeah, carousel. You know, no carousel. There
No?
was just a
It was a Heritage Week.
Yeah, the Windsor Symphony and this. So they sponsored all these different things about heritage, like Italians, this and that. We want to be a part of it, and so we had a bake sale. It was
Exciting time.
It was
from
exciting
what
time,
seems to us now.
and this is like when we ordered costumes, you know. This Milo Tsokonich, who was a choreographer, he played, so he was coming to Toronto, and through him we had like a 55 noshnias, and this is my garage, whole garage, we put together because they're all different sizes. He was very, and these are all the kids there in the events. But anyway, it was a great, you know, these kids are now actually, a lot of them, if you look at Mara Krichkic, let's say, she's a director now in the Sunday school.
Yes.
My daughter Branka, who's in Windsor here, she's in committee of a media, social media committee.
She's a media person, she knows everyone, yes.
Tina Dukic is in our board. I mean, all these kids now
They stay
kind
with
of
the
stay
community.
with the community. It was really nice. It's like as I said, this was a good thing. It was a lot of work.
Animating and gathering the youth in variety of activities was probably the best idea or best effort that you could have made. And make sure that they understand their heritage, understand their traditions and value of it, and stay with the community and keep contributing.
Yeah.
Has there been any other book of this type before 1991 or after?
Not in our community.
No.
No, this is.
So that was the only effort that you tried to gather enough information about the Serbian youth and the projects that they were involved in and activities that they
Yeah,
contributed
I
in.
tried to capture that generation.
Okay.
Okay, like there was never like how they have high schools, they have a yearbooks every year. Well, I tried to capture not just a year, but a really generation, because as you can see, they even stay right now. That was the main goal. What I'm trying to do.
And what do you think of this newer generation or younger generation? Will they follow in their elders' footsteps?
But you have to. There's so many things that you can do now. Like let's face it. At the time that we were raising our families, I didn't have a $300,000 or $400,000 home. You know, people now invest in that. They like to travel. They invest in the new cars, technology, phones. You know how much they spend. We didn't. We go to church and we invested with the kids and things like that. So now this is, I would call it distractions. It's just a way of life. And the standards of living are higher and everything else. And people have different, they don't see the need for that somehow. But then also when you have this news media, like all this, I would say about 80% of these children here are children, adults, they have their own children. They're still my Facebook friends. And I kind of keep with them, if they're in Florida, they're in Milwaukee or something like that. I like Chicago and things like that. They tell me what's going on in their families, how involved they're in Serbian communities there, and that makes me happy.
Yes, it seems that the generation that you try to capture is still very active in a lot of community events and activities, and they really try very hard to keep some of the traditions. So hopefully that will be inspiring for the new ones.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to write this one?
I don't know. Like I had a lot of pictures because as I was going on, I was collecting. Like I'm big in filing and keeping data. Like I think I shouldn't have, but I threw away some boxes and boxes of stuff for the church because I figured out nobody's interested, you know, and things like that. Like, you know, museum is now. I can see that if you didn't show up and hear that, a lot of things will be gone, and they are gone, you know, from the church and anything else. And thank goodness for some of the efforts here and there that is documented. But I was always keeping, like, you know, flyers. And when you organize something, you put the flyer, this and that, you think, and you keep tabs. Like I always kept tabs, who came to practice, who did this and that, who gave cookies, who bailed cookies, who worked, and we supported like that Sarboard, that we separated the Canadian diocese from Eastern. There was always Sarboard, like an assembly, general assembly gathering. Assembly was always in Chicago. It's the first time we made it here. And Bishop asked me to do this, and I did it, and because we had like 8 classrooms upstairs, all with computers. I rented computers for them. We had half a hall for meetings. We have a half a hall for breakfast, lunches, things like that. And all this youth group was helping, registered people, running the copies, helping everything else. It was organized, and they said, well, if you have that, you know, you can have a Canadian diocese. So they all voted, you know, blah blah, and that's how we got it.
Okay,
so these kids have a.
Over time, you collected a lot of information already.
So it was like putting it together. I don't know how I, you know.
A few months probably.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I go to work and lunch hour. These are all my lunch hour projects. So coming home.
Really?
Because when you come home, you always have something else to do.
That's true.
So this
That's
was.
True. I'm glad that your lunch hour was fulfilled with this. Now, it seems that out of the 3 books, you spent most time on this particular one, which is probably historically most relevant, which is the 50th anniversary of the Serbian Orthodox Church Gračanica in Windsor. And the time span that you were interested in is starting in 1946 and ending in 1996. This book was published in Windsor in 1997. So can you tell us what was the motivation to start this particular book?
Well, you know what, if I said this is my pride and joy, the reason for that is that, you know, you're gathering now information, and it will be very important because if somebody wants to see it, people are coming to this community and they don't understand what was done before. I always have respect for the people there before me here. And I found church, I found small hall, I found organization, I found people that the part of my heritage, and I like to be, you know, do something that develops even more, you know, or contribute, you know, whatever it is. So, and I saw a couple, you know, 25th anniversary. I think you have that. That's a blue book.
Yes.
And it was done, and that was done. That book was done. Basically same as something like this. You put the articles from the newspaper and you try to collect the money. That's what it is. So I didn't want to do that.
This process was different.
So I didn't want that.
Okay.
Being an engineer, like, you know, we are really...
Precise people?
Well, precise, thank you for those nice words. But, you know, I tried to do everything in analogies. I said, you know, if this is what it is, it has to be covering all the aspects of it. So I divided it into chapters. It was easy to assemble like that. And by the way, it took 2 years to do this, Jude. Every single page is done by me, artwork, you know. Pictures are all, layout, everything. All the pictures, things like that are done by Misic. Misic and I worked on this for the longest time. So what happened is in this, I have a first, you know, introduction, our history. But I gave because it was all done in English. The reason for that is because now with the new generation, everybody's speaking Serbian and kids are speaking English. But the next generation, if you think about it, most of them will be, you know, we live here, you know, that's daily communication. It's hard to preserve, but if you keep ties over there and you know, and your tradition, things like that, you'll be exposed to that. So you will have, if you have a need or something like that, you'll learn about Cyrillic and Serbian language. But to know your history, what your roots are, and what give you what you have right now, it's very important. So anyway, I give you a little history about Serbian because people don't, who teaches Serbian history? Nobody knows. History is written by, I remember, you know, grade 8, all year I was doing like 1941 to 45, how partisans were successful. I never learned about, you know, chutneys, things like that.
History.
Yeah, so you know what it is, they call it 8th offensive or something like that, which was not offensive. They were trying to get away, offensives by Germany. And anyway, it's politically driven and charged, you know. And a lot of things are exposed to the people that came from over there because that's what they were taught, like my generation was taught. I knew better because of my parents and things like that, but a lot of didn't know. So I figured out what did we pass on their children. So I put a little history. Then I put the history of a community.
The immigration
waves and things like that. And then I did all about how they developed to this. Then I dedicated part of, that part was fairly easy, like, you know when you do some research, you have to talk to the people, you look for documents.
You double check your
You double check everything because, you know, you want to be as accurate as possible. Nothing is 100%, but you're trying to be as accurate as possible. So anyway, I did all that, but then my major thing was basically, there are people that come to this community, contribute, maybe leave, die, passed away, like, you know, or are still here. So I said, like, you know what, membership. I get who was a member at the beginning, because it's our, you know, like our community, our congregation. So I tried to dig out all the, by word of mouth, there's no archives whatsoever. I went through the loft of the church and I found somebody was giving somebody receipt for a membership. I said, oh, he was a member then.
Okay.
So I collected,
yeah.
So at that time we had like about maybe 200 people that were members, 230, the members. Luckily you have a lot of my parishioners, but the members, people that support and this. So anyway, I collected another 700 names.
That's a very good number.
And then you know what, like this just shows you what engineers do.
It is a very precise collection of all of the members that the Church Gračanica ever had.
By year.
By the year, yes.
And when you were involved in it. Year or 2 years, 3 years, where did you go, if we know or not. But I try to touch everybody's life in this book.
Which is a wonderful. I also saw that your focus in this book was really the history of the congregation.
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about these beginnings of the building of the Church Gračanica?
Well, I can't do much because I came here in 1970. The church was already done.
But from what you gathered.
But the thing is, you know, we didn't have a choir loft. We didn't have frescoes. We didn't have the stained glass windows. The dome in the back was not built. The sign, the fence. I don't want to be brag. I don't want to brag, but one of the first part that I was involved in was that those steps that going down in the back entrance of the church on the corner. As soon as we had a meeting and it was somebody, the ladies were coming down, it was slippery and and there was nothing to hold on, and so I decided, why don't we build the entrance so you go in and we cover so it won't be slippery. So then I searched for the bricks. I found the Belgian bricks to Detroit because I worked there. Find the bricks, got Joe Milanic, Joe Milan Jovetic, things like that, and Lazar Drgičić to build that, the structure and all this. So anyway, we built that. So that was done. Then after that, you know, when you think about it, we the fence was all just a railing, you know, the black railing there.
The front.
So we said, well, you know what, and there was the trees overgrown. So I got her, and I think I gave to the museum that project. Every project I did at our church, I ask the board, present what I want to do, and even when the we had a bishop, Djordje, sent him a letter. I said, this is the sign I want to make in the front. So I did all the Cyrillic and English, that letter in the front. So I did that, and I said, this is what we're doing. And he gave me approval for that, and we went around. And I got, again, my soccer buddies and everybody else to contribute. And it doesn't cost, everything was done. And then also for, what was it, for the frescoes. Proto Mirko Višnić, who was, he married me and baptized my children, things like that. He was very involved in that.
When did the frescoes? Do you remember year?
87, I think.
87. So
it's in a book. Like, I always reference book.
Refer to the book.
Yeah, book. But anyway, so it was interesting because we want to do, sisters tried to do, and I know Stana Launchers tried to get the credits, but there are a lot of other people that contribute, because I know, it says this guy, $100, is that a lot of us paint their own patron saint, but they have to be approved by somebody else, what has to be. Church has their own
rules and regulations,
and you have to do it.
So
anyway,
the beginnings of the Gračanica congregation since 1946 and then 1952, when the church was built, is basically a continuous project of the community when they're adding, changing, updating anything that is to do with the church.
Well, I was trying to explain people here, because they said, like, there's a lot of controversy before. He says, well, this all belongs to church and things like that. I says, well, no, really. There's a difference between churches and what they have over there in our fatherland and in our homeland. In our homeland, this is our community, this is our little state. Because we need to have here, who's going to support this? Who's going to keep money for the church, for the priest, for the diocese?
It's a self-sustaining colony, yes.
We're trying to do a museum, build a hall, build a place, classrooms for children. You try to do that to expand, bring people in, because over there, like, you want to go to the gym, you go to the gym. You want to go theater, to go there. You go rent a hall. You go to school, you have a school. But here it is our community, so we are responsible for that. And that's how it starts in 1946, started. They assemble, they got the hall. They had to build it's all in the book here. They had to bought first a house, and that house, then people start gathering. Hey, this is our.
That's the one on Drouillard Road, close to the railroad.
No, that's the one. Yeah, it's on the passage. Yes, yes, and it's still that building.
It's still there. It's been refurbished.
Yeah, Milan Barch bought that house.
Yes, I heard.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so then they moved to Drouillard Road, bought a hall.
1939.
And then they start bringing the priest from over there, and they have it, and then they got together and blah blah, and naturally with Nikola Budimir and Steve Budimir and Milan Dobrić, those guys, business was great. They had the largest superstore, and they donated. That money triggered a lot, and also Vojčić, George Vojčić, he was the Rendezvous Tavern. So these people, what was organizer more and things like that. So all these people, they did not. So they built that. They built a church in 1952. And look at the beautiful church it's still now. And then they built then they donated donated this land over here. And then they're trying to build a center. And then finally they built this Kosovo Hall.
1966.
Yeah. And then later on we were fortunate enough to have a lot of people and got a grant, everything else, build this beautiful facility.
1987.
But it's a community. It's our congregation that does that.
It's a community effort.
It's a community effort, really, and it's very important. Like you try to get away from this politics. There's a two different things here that people don't understand. One is your faith, which is your what we define as your personal level of comfort. Nobody knows how much I believe or you believe anybody else. It's your
it's a very intimate thing.
Very intimate things, and a lot of people have social things, and they're trying to misunderstand. But this is community, this congregation. We'll live here. This is our lives. This is our children's. This is for our future generation. And look at all those things that existed. It wouldn't be if they didn't start it in 1946 in that small house.
That's right.
And that's why I appreciate. That's why, don't feel bad by contributing and offering my work, money, and everything else.
And your writing skills as well.
Yeah, but that was important. That now I think a lot of stuff exists on emails and the things like that. But putting together this, and then to get the money again, I did have some advertising in the back, but I also gave opportunity to every family who wants to contribute to give their profile, picture of the family, who is who, and what they did to contribute, where the Slava is, what they immigrate for. So it's like immigration history. It's a lot of good stuff.
And the family history,
and
yes.
The family history, and that thing that was for me was very important. And I also for organization I give to all the organization I listed.
Yes, I noticed that all of the organizations that existed throughout time, and some who have closed up and some who were initiated afterwards are in that book.
Yeah, and
so it's a good historical review of
all
organizations.
the priests, all the bishops, all the events, the building of the church separate, building of Djordje Veličković, building of a sports complex, building a Serbian center. They're all separate, and I even have a Windsor Star, because Windsor Star, when we are active, Windsor Star likes that, and
they're following
that's following it. So there's a lot of articles there because something was going on and things like that. And unfortunately, we're dormant for like quite a few years now. And but I think with this new group of people, this generation,
new generation, you might get
we are moving.
reactivated.
I'm so happy. Like I'm almost 70-year-old, and I'm the oldest member on that group, and they all call me Chica George and things like that. But they're all professionals, youngs, very capable, and very dedicated kids. That makes me really happy.
And they're motivated, and you were involved with their beginnings of becoming that motivated to keep the community. So the book that you're holding in your hands is not only the history of the Serbian Orthodox Church Gračanica, but it's also the history of congregation that the Gračanica is the epicenter of, and also in a larger sense the Serbian community history of Windsor. So we're hoping that maybe you would be motivated to write another one when the time comes, if this didn't take out too much out of you. But we're very grateful that you did write it. Is there something that you'd like to, a message to any future young writers amongst Serbs in Windsor? What would you like to tell them? How would you like to encourage them?
Well, if they look into what so far has been done with under condition and environment that we had and what they have, and that whatever you write, if it's properly documented and properly stored, it's forever. You're looking for books 1800 or something like that, you find something that, wow, because there's so many things out there. There's a Wikipedia, a lot on the internet, anything else. But documents like this are very important. Like if somebody comes here and doesn't know anything, where would he learn about what's going on?
Library or a museum?
Museum.
Yes.
I send this book actually to library, to all the parishes around in North America, to bishops, things like that, just for reference. I don't know if it helped or not, but it's there.
Yes.
And as I said, I would encourage, because it's a great thing. It's a good pastime, not like mine during the lunch hours, things like that. Kept me trim, But yeah, it's a great satisfaction. Until you do it, you really don't know. Like I say, it was work with you guys do. I mean, you have a grant that you accomplished, and you see what you did. You says, wow, it will serve a purpose. I did it. It's me, like,
Yes,
you feel better. Like, as I said, like I came to this country with no language and $40 in the buck. And now I have, kids, family, house, everything else. And I appreciate, you give me a pen, that's why I don't give you a pen. He said, I appreciate everything that was given to me, everything else I worked for.
Yes.
So if you can contribute to, and if you believe in our tradition and our nation and our existence in this continent, our new, homeland, not forgetting the fatherland, do it, as I did.
Perfect. Thank you very much. This book will be available once it's digitized on the museum website, and it is also available in our small library. I'd just like to mention, since we are talking about the Serbian Orthodox Church Gračanica, that congregation does have its own library, which is upstairs in the premises of the Serbian Community Center, and it will probably be open every Monday in the evening should you wish to come in, borrow certain books. Most of them are in Serbian, most of them are really old but in very good condition. And if you want to inform yourself about the Serbian community of Windsor, come to the museum. We would be glad to talk to you about anything that you'd like to know. And last few words to dedicate to this digitization project. As I said, this will be available online in PDF format, and when we launch our new museum website at the end of November, you'll be able to search it, read it, and learn a lot that there is to do in this community. So, Mr. Veličković, thank you very much again for being the
Thank you very much for what you're doing
history and coming to see us and talking to us about your life and about your efforts and about the Serbian community. So hopefully you'll keep writing and you'll keep giving us your products, your books that we can be proud of. Thanks
Well,
again.
at least I'll go through my archives and provide you with stuff that might be beneficial on other projects. So I'll do that.
Awesome. That will be wonderful.
And thank you for doing all this. Thank you.
Thank you.